What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls finally get a win, another win, ladies and gentlemen, onto their tally as we hit double digits in terms of wins. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a very, very interesting game to say the least. We versed the Washington Wizards today, and look, Washington had Bradley Beal out, Rui Hachimura out, DeLon Wright out, and everything of that nature. It wasn't necessarily the best Washington Wizards side that we could have faced. But ladies and gentlemen, at this point in the season, with the Chicago Bulls team that we're currently seeing, I would have taken any win onto our season right now, ladies and gentlemen. So I am very, very happy the Chicago Bulls walked out of the United Center, our first game at home in a long, long time, with a win, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it felt very good to get that win. It was an up and down game, to say the least. A really, really bad second quarter, and obviously things we had to come back from in every sense of the word. We finally saw the big three play well together, ladies and gentlemen. So again, there is a lot to be happy about, but obviously we do have to identify some of our weaknesses in this game as well. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game and your overall thoughts and opinions on how the game went in total? We won this game 115 to 111. Now look, this Washington Wizards side was very lackluster. We've got to be honest. They had two of their best players basically out for this game, and at the end of the day, in all things said and done, we probably should have won this game by a little bit more realistically, but we kind of let the Washington Wizards side back into the game a lot of the times. And at the end of the day, this was very, very close for comfort. There were a couple of times in this game where you might have thought, my goodness, the Bulls are going to lose to the Wizards without Bradley Beal and without Rui Hachimura. And that's something you don't want to feel, ladies and gentlemen. But thankfully, through all of the ups and the downs of the game, the Bulls won. And as I always say, look, you can't control injuries. You can't control which team decides to show up on any given night. But you have to beat what's put in front of you. And put it this way, for all those people that are saying this win is doesn't necessarily count because of what the Wizards were facing, it would have been much worse if we had lost this game. So you're always going to take the wins in your strides, ladies and gentlemen. You got to take any win you can get. And right now, the Bulls are in one of the most struggling points of their entire season with this team, especially even from last year to this year as well. We are struggling right now. So a win like this could definitely help boost the confidence, and it also can maybe show some signs of what we need to do in the future. I don't think this game was purely based on isolation, which is a good start. That's one thing I wanted to get across. The first quarter, a lot of the first half, we made a valiant effort to make sure we shared the ball. But of course, since it's not a natural thing for the Chicago Bulls to share the ball on a consistent basis and everything like that, you saw two things happen. You saw stagnation, as per usual, especially towards, again, the fourth quarter. A lot of the fourth quarter wasn't necessarily great ball movement. It was isolation. It was Zach and DeMar trying to get us a win. And it worked, so not a lot of people are going to complain about it. Zach LaVine got to the foul line. DeMar DeRozan made some big shots. But the fourth quarter was a lot of isolation. It was a lot of let DeMar and Zach shoot the ball because they're our clutchest players. But it did work. And at the end of the day, you can't take anything away from it when it works. But you saw massive amounts of turnovers for this team. I don't know the exact stat, ladies and gentlemen, but our turnover rate was extremely high, and Washington made us pay heavily for the amount of turnovers that we actually committed. So that's definitely one thing we're going to look at, ladies and gentlemen. Our turnovers has been a big problem all year, but I felt like it definitely hurt us in this game. And when you're talking about a team that is, I guess, in the Washington Wizards, that is not necessarily up to a very good quality with their best players out, the one thing that they could rely on is that the Bulls were going to turn it over, they could run out in transition, they could get to the foul line, they could get easy points off of turnovers, and that kept it in the game. Because outside of that, the Bulls did everything very solidly. The Bulls offense wasn't great, but at the end of the day, it did the job. And again, the big three finally played well together. All three of the big three cracked into double digits and cracked into the 20-point range as well. Very, very good stuff to see. Then obviously the defensive side of the ball as well. Caruso made some huge stops towards the end of the game. Part of the reason why he is in the starting lineup, and he did very well as well. He did phenomenally well, in all honesty. So very, very good stuff for the Chicago Bulls team, ladies and gentlemen. It was a very well-rounded game. You saw a lot of guys get involved in this game, which is something to be proud of. And yeah, just really, really happy with this win. But the big test comes next, ladies and gentlemen. The Dallas Mavericks will be the next game that we play. That's where a lot of our big tests will come from. It's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a lot harder than the team that we faced here in the Washington Wizards. But again, if we want to ever see a turning point with this team, it has to be done at home. You've got to win your home games, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm hoping we can find the energy, the defensive presence, and of course, our big three showing up like they showed up today to walk away with a win. Put it this way, if any of the big three struggled like they've been struggling over the West Coast trip over the course of most of this season, we lose this game. If we didn't get our 20 plus from all three of those guys, then we would be in a very, very bad conversation right now. We'd be talking about a Bulls loss against a very bad Wizards side at this point in time. So I'm happy, all things considered, the Bulls got the job done. We'll finally get to go into now the individual performances and discuss some Bulls players today. Starting off with DeMar DeRozan, who had 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, alongside of 1 block, ladies and gentlemen. 11 from 21 from the field today. Now look, DeMar DeRozan did not have his greatest game. You look at the statistics, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. That looks nice. It looks like a very typical DeMar DeRozan game. But we can't hide from the fact that he's once again struggled in the first half of this game, where he wasn't making a lot of the shots. He was actually forcing a lot of turnovers, a very, very poor passing, and everything of that nature. And from that is definitely something we can't ignore that. Yes, we won the game. Yes, DeMar had a great fourth quarter. He's back to the king of the fourth. But the first half is something we can't ignore from him today. So I want to see a much better, I guess, showing for the DeMar DeRozan in the first half next time out against the Dallas Mavericks. We're going to need DeMar DeRozan. Look, whether it's isolation or not isolation, DeMar is very, very important towards this team. He can do a lot of good things when we do need a bucket, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm hoping he can get back to his best, and I'm hoping he can have a really consistent all 4 quarters, and we're not just hoping that he can just shoot us out of trouble in the fourth, and he can get more involved in every other avenue of the game. But you also saw a lot of our ball movement, a lot of us pushing the tempo, a lot of us running out in transition did also come with DeMar DeRozan out of the game. So it seems to me like we should take, I guess, a playbook out of the Phoenix Suns. When Chris Paul is in the game for the Phoenix Suns, they play a lot smaller. They let Chris Paul run the tempo. He gets his assists. They do the pick and rolls and everything like that. And Chris Paul gets people open. But when Chris Paul is out of the game for the Phoenix Suns, that team runs out in transition, goes and gets easy opportunities. And again, just puts a lot of pressure on the defensive end for the Wizards or for any other team to get back. I think we need to start learning from the Phoenix Suns in that way. When DeMar DeRozan is on the court, you got to make sure that DeMar DeRozan is going to be a pure playmaker from time to time, has the ball in his hands, uses the pick and rolls, gets people open, takes his shots, stuff like that. When DeMar DeRozan is off the floor, we've got to be running full steam ahead, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get some easy opportunities on the other side. And I think we're going to have that diversity in our playing style to know when to do that and when not to do that as well. So I think that's very interesting. That's something I'm just kind of thinking of off the top of my head. But that's the team that kind of reminded me of what Phoenix likes to do with Chris Paul. It's not the same, of course, because Chris Paul is one of the best playmakers in the world. But again, I still think that's the type of style we should be playing when DeMar is on the floor, when DeMar is off the floor. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Patrick Williams, 11 points, 3 rebounds, alongside of 1 assist, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Williams, interesting game to say the least. He played fairly aggressive. A couple of times he was going to the basket and stuff like that. He made his 3-point shots. It was a solid night from Patrick Williams in total. Again, you could probably even argue at the fact that he had a very bad play in terms of the defensive end, against Kristaps Porzingis, where he kind of let him go for the dunk. But at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily matter anymore. We won the game. He's a young player, who has a lot to learn and everything like that. I wouldn't necessarily call this a terrible game from Patrick Williams whatsoever. Nikola Vucevic, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, alongside of 2 steals and 2 blocks. This was one of the best games I've seen from Nikola Vucevic all season, and he did very, very well. In the post, he was pump faking, he was getting guys to commit and everything like that. Got to the foul line, shot his threes, very good 3 from the corner as well towards the end of the game. Very, very diverse Nikola Vucevic performance today. From the mid-range, from the post, from the 3-point line, it was very, very solid in almost every single way. And Vucevic, when he's playing at his best, is a 3-level scorer. But when he was in the post today, that's when I liked him the most. He got a nice post hook on Kyle Kuzma towards the end of the game as well. This is where Vucevic plays at his best. But the pick and pop game, is solid, especially from the mid-range. We can't forget, Vucevic is not just a post player. He is a very effective pick-and-pop player from the mid-range, and we've seen that with the Orlando Magic, and we saw it today with the Chicago Bulls. The three-point shot isn't the end-all, be-all for Vucevic. He can make mid-range shots. He can go into the post as well. So it's good to have elements to his game that can be very effective, and today, extremely effective performance, and of course he played some solid defense, got a nice block towards the end of the game as well. Solid stuff from Nikola Vucevic. He obviously made a very good pass towards the end of the game to Caruso, which led to Zach LaVine free throws. So he done some really good things to help us win this game, ladies and gentlemen. He was the X factor, considering Andre Drummond is probably going to be my must improve today with the foul calls and everything of like that. Vucevic stepped up, I think, for both of them today. Zach LaVine had 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists alongside 2 steals. A lot of his steals came from passing lanes, ladies and gentlemen. Came from closing the gap, came from, I guess, a situation where he's predicting what the other team are going to do. Very, very solid stuff. And look, 3 out of the 4 shots that he took at the start of the game were purely catch and shoots. He missed one of them, he made 2 of them, and obviously the other one was a layup, a contested layup that he missed. Zach LaVine is a fantastic catch and shoot player. And I think as a Bulls team, we need to make it a valiant effort to continue to give the ball to Zach LaVine in catch and shoot scenarios. It's as simple as that. And it can't always happen like 5, 6, 7 catch and shoots a night. He's not Klay Thompson. There's not a lot of pressure on other three-point shooters to get Zach LaVine constant catch and shoots 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a game. But we've got to make an effort to try, because Zach LaVine is a fantastic catch and shoot player, and we saw it constantly today. All of his offense mainly was catch and shoots, and then was driving to the basket, was in transition. That's where his bread and butter is, ladies and gentlemen. He's a fantastic catch and shoot player. The more catch and shoots we see from him, and the less of the moving three-point shots that he's doing, or the fadeaway threes, that's when we're seeing the best versions of Zach LaVine right now. So that is a positive in every sense of the word as well. Then we've obviously got Alex Caruso. Huge performance from Alex Caruso today. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists alongside of 4 steals in this game. And again, the typical Alex Caruso performance in terms of scoring, he's usually going to get around 5 to 7 points most likely for certain games. Other games he just simply gets 0 points, and that's when he kind of hurts us in many ways. But he didn't hurt us today, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, he helped us big time. 4 incredible steals. A lot of them was, again, reading the play, stripping it from the big man in Porzingis, running out in transition. He had 9 beautiful assists, a couple of no-look passes. Very strong play from Alex Caruso today. And I guess that is the reason why he's in the starting lineup. So he can cause havoc and play some really solid defense. And it did work wonders in today's game. It may not work every game, but today it worked, and it worked big time. Great game from Alex Caruso. Moving into the bench, Ayo Dosunmu, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists alongside of 1 steal. Ayo Dosunmu, when he's cutting to the basket, man, he's very hard to stop. Even when he's getting blocks, there's a lot of times where he's getting fouled on the call as well. Look, he's a dynamic player. I think he needs to improve in terms of his three-point shooting. I think he's a decent catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, but at the end of the day, he's not necessarily showing that a lot in terms of this season compared to last year. But attacking the basket, he's really dynamic. He's a guy that has a very good layup package. He can finish a lot of his layups at the rim, and he's showing good qualities in that area. But of course, with Ayo Dosunmu, I guess the only thing I can say is I think he can add more to his game. He can add a mid-range game a little bit more. He can use the three-point shot a little bit more. But that's just nitpicking, ladies and gentlemen. He had a very solid game today. Kobe White, 6 points, 1 rebound alongside of a steal in today's game. 2 from 4 from the field. In many ways, if Javonte Green was playing this game, you might have seen Kobe White not play as much, because the fact of the matter is Javonte Green and Kobe White are probably the guys that rotate their minutes a lot depending on who's playing well. But Kobe got significantly more minutes today than you usually would see. Didn't necessarily have the greatest game, but he was 2 from 4 from the field, which isn't too bad whatsoever. 1 from 3 from the three-point line. That three-point shot, I remember it fondly. We really much needed that, because that was when the Bulls were struggling for offense. So I would say it's an okay performance from Kobe White. Derrick Jones Jr., 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. 2 points came from a dunk off of a pick and roll. Again, we did see a little bit of small ball in today's game, and I'm happy that we got away from it very quickly, because we saw very quickly the Wizards head coach put in Porzingis and put in Daniel Gafford at the as soon as we went small. And I'm thankful that the Bulls went away from that as quickly as possible. We brought Nikola Vucevic back into the game, and again, we made a big difference there. Andre Drummond had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist in today's game. He also got a block. At the start of the game, he was fine, but he got 4 early fouls very quickly, and from then on, he looked very hesitant to play defense. Again, he got his 5th foul towards the end as well. Very, very rough night for Andre Drummond, and of course, the refs didn't necessarily have the greatest game of all time, did they? I didn't want to mention it that much, but the Wizards' free throws compared to the Bulls one was very, very stunning in every sense of the word. And of course, when Porzingis is flopping on every possession and the refs are falling for it every single time, there is a lot to argue there, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll move on from that one. Goran Dragic, 2 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. And honestly, I think a lot of the assists that he had were great assists, but there were a couple of times he did a little bit too much. He turned the ball over and everything of that nature. So maybe try to keep things a little bit more basic. Don't necessarily have to be flashy every possession. That's all I've got to say about Goran Dragic. But that's the end of the individual performances. It's been a while since I've been able to say the individual performances, and I'm very happy I get to do so today. And I'm very happy we got a win, ladies and gentlemen. But the must improve for me is going to be Andre Drummond. Again, the 4 fouls very quickly, the hesitancy to play defense. I think at times he hurt us. Daniel Gafford got the better of him when they were both playing. So again, I would probably pick Andre Drummond in this time out. I think it made sense to play him, but I think the foul calls definitely hurt him, and he just wasn't the same since. My player of the game will be Nikola Vucevic. Again, when he's playing like this, we are a very hard team to stop. I give credit to all the big three for having strong games this time out. But for me, Nikola Vucevic, great assists, great rebounding, very solid points, and 2 steals and 2 blocks alongside of it. And he's a very dangerous player when he's playing like that, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to see a lot more of it. He did this against a 7'3" Kristaps Porzingis and Daniel Gafford off the bench, who's obviously the second best shot blocker. He did that performance against those 2 bigs. So I don't see a reason why he can't have these types of performances every single night. So we'll wait and see what he could do against Dallas, ladies and gentlemen. The Bulls record, we finally cracked double digits, ladies and gentlemen. The Bulls have 10 wins on their season. We can finally celebrate it. Our record is 10-14. And our next game is against the Dallas Mavericks, ladies and gentlemen. Luka Magic is coming to the United Center. This is always a game that I have on my calendar. Of course, I have a couple of friends that are Dallas Mavericks fans, of course, but I love Luka Doncic, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's an excellent player, and that team is really, really fun to watch. No matter how good or bad they're doing, they are a great team to watch. And I'm hoping the Bulls can walk away with a win here, of course. We usually play somewhat well against the Dallas Mavericks. Luka always has great games against us, but he does that against every team. But we seem to find a way to usually win in that type of environment. So let's see if we can do it again at the United Center. I'm not calling us the favorites because we're so inconsistent at the moment. And of course, that's where our biggest test lies. Dallas are going to have most of their players healthy to play this game. So our test lies in, can we beat a good team at home and have that turning point that we want? We shall wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, until that game arrives, we should feel happy about this win. It's always better to win than to lose, and we should always be what's put in front of us. So enjoy this win. We've got a couple of days until that next game against Dallas, and we'll wait and see if the Bulls can do it again. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.